Hi, Mom.
Hi, Alex.
So, sorry that it was like the cookie crumbled that you were the last one to be interviewed.
Maybe I'm the best. You saved the best for last.
But also, I do know that you're camera shy, so it's like maybe I'll put it off for a little bit, the last thing.
Hey, you had a bunch of interesting stories you already got to capture, so that's amazing.
Huh. Well, thank you for being willing to be interviewed. Note to self, this was a Mother's Day present.
Hey, that's similar when Kyle let me on Facebook for a Mother's Day present.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, by the time this will bit up, it'll be very belated, but
Does it matter?
yeah.
No.
No.
No, doesn't matter.
But yeah, so I'll be brief, because it is, it's kind of muggy out here.
There's
But
a nice breeze.
it's nice too. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So, this is something that you have to explain a lot. So let's get it on camera so you never have to explain it ever again.
I can just show people that.
Yeah. So what do you do for a living?
All right, so I'm a child life specialist, which has an odd name, and most people don't know what this profession is until they absolutely need to have it for themselves. So what our role is we help kids and their families cope with the healthcare experience. So that can be really broad. Our jobs can be anywhere from, we have staff that work on our hospice program, we have staff that work inpatient and outpatient, in mental health clinics, in the emergency room. There's child life staff that work at disaster situations all over the world.
Break it down. So what is your day like? When you go into work, what happens?
All right, so currently where I've been working and where I've been working the most is in the surgery area. So these are kids that are getting ready for surgery. It might be an outpatient surgery or it could be an inpatient surgery. So for all different perspectives. And so it's the busiest in the morning. Can't have anything to eat or drink before surgery, and that's one of the toughest things for the kids. So they try and have as many cases as they can in the morning. So I arrive at work at 6:30, and the units are already full. There's different hallways, and they're already full of patients that need to be seen. So usually when I get there in the first hour, there might be 5 or 6 kids I need to see in an hour, which is kind of a little bit stressful, but I've done it long enough that I can prioritize and figure out how I'm going to get into the rooms and work with the nursing staff and the rest of the surgical team to make sure we have an opportunity to do everything that kid needs to get ready for surgery. So some of the things, I need to get a census list. I'll check on the kids that are there and see where they're at. If they're already having a hard time coping, I might prioritize and see them. If I know something about them ahead of time, I might, that required extra attention. Or if they're an age group that tends to have problems or a situation that's going to have more complications afterward, I might prioritize that too. So then I just get to work.
What made you want to become a child life specialist?
Well, I always knew I wanted to work with kids. I liked working with kids that babysit a lot, and I liked babysitting. I didn't even care if I got paid. It was fun. And then when I went to a big enough high school, I actually had a child development course. So I was intrigued with the idea of how a person develops. And then when I was looking for a role, I thought about maybe being a pediatrician. I had a biology teacher who was awesome, and he suggested I do that. And then I thought, well, but I want to raise my own kids too. And then I had another teacher who talked me into being a lawyer. I wanted to be a juvenile court lawyer. I thought about that for a while too. And then again, I realized I wanted time to spend, I wanted my job to be flexible. That wasn't all of who I was. That was only part of my life. So ended up going to school at Iowa State and found out about child life there. They have a really long-standing program with Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and from the 30s. And so I met an upperclassman who had gone to the internship there, and figured out that met everything, all of my goals. So from then, and then after I did the internship, of course, that was sold.
How has your job changed over the years? How's that been?
Kind of two-pronged. I mean, as child life has become more prevalent, at the same time, healthcare is becoming, frankly, more dysfunctional.
No.
So it is. Anybody who works in healthcare would flatly out tell you that. So it used to be more of an unusual thing, so you were really doing lots of sorts of different things. And I've worked in lots of different hospitals and different places. I think now we're more integrated into the system, which is good. And one of the biggest frustrations for everyone in healthcare is how the system itself bills patients. So that's something we're constantly having to work with and figure out how we can problem solve with the state as it is right now.
Well, so if you could make changes to make your job easier as a child life specialist, what would you do?
Make less stress on the families by not making that situation have to be so rule-oriented that we lose sight of the individual care for the individual person. And again, I think that goes back to some of the issues that we're dealing with healthcare. Eventually, we'll come to a piece where there'll be enough staff and enough resources that are not based on a private insurance piece, and we'll be able to give people what they deserve in the moment with which they deserve it, instead of knowing what you can do and not being able to do it. It's hard because our healthcare system was built on private insurance based on your job. That is a concept that's not workable. So a lot of, and especially to children, they don't work. And so having adequate care available to them is always something that Children's is striving to do. It's a hospital that I feel strongly about. They saved your life. How can I not? So I will always believe in the hospital, and I will always work there because of that. I owe everything to Children's. I just wish I could change the healthcare system.
Yeah. So what is your favorite part of the job?
Oh, the kids, by far. And I also think, too, that's one of the nicest things. You can get discouraged about all kinds of things that are happening in the world, but you see children handle something that no adult could handle with the same kind of resolve as they can, and you realize this is a kid who's going to grow up and be able to do things. And the majority of the kids I see are kind, considerate, smart, intuitive, ready to take on something, and I know our world's in a good place because of that. So it's just reaffirming every time you get to meet yet one more kid who's awesome.
Hear that, awesome kids?
Yeah, they know they're awesome.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Yeah, you're the boss.
Okay.
It's the thing we do. They're the boss when they're in the
Yeah.
hospital. Yeah.
Oh, so, well, what's a moment that you're particularly proud of at your job?
Okay, a couple things.
Mhm.
Because it's hard to narrow down one,
Yeah.
having done something for so long. And I would narrow down one incident, and of course everyone is entitled to the right to privacy.
Yeah.
But I think mostly the part that's the most enhancing like that is when you see a kid take a moment and do something they didn't think they could do, and then how proud they are after they've done with it. That they took your words, they took your advice, they tried it, they did something they thought was hard, and they're so proud of themselves after that. That's pretty cool. And you know they'll carry that with them.
Right on.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. That's one of the fun things about being around kids, because you actively can see them learning and trying. They're willing to it. Adults tend not to as much. We're more stuck in our ways. But kids are willing to give it a go, for the most part. So.
How'd you meet my father?
You've heard the story lots, but this is for your show. So actually, I was working at the University of Minnesota at the hospital there, and he was a volunteer. And I had only just started working there. The other position I was in got dissolved because of some healthcare issues. So I ended up working at the U, and there was an activity center. It was a large play area, and your dad was one of the volunteers on the night that I had to do the tour. And at first I thought, yes, solidly awesome volunteer. I don't have to stay down in the activity center. I can go back to the unit because we didn't have enough time on that unit. I can go back up there and work some more because these volunteers are awesome. And then I noticed your dad, there were two kids who had CF and were there frequently, and kind of hard to get to know, but they saw your dad through two windows and across a courtyard and came screaming, and I was so excited to see him and jumped into his arms. So then I'm like, who's that guy? I should pay attention to this, because kids are always a good judge of character. So that's how I met your dad.
And you had 3 children with, including
Three perfect
myself.
children.
Yes. How would you describe those children?
You guys are so complex individuals, it's hard to do this quickly.
It's all right.
But
We got a lot of time.
all 3 of you are amazingly creative, each one of you in your own way. And you're also all very passionate about the things that you believe in, which to me reflects on what wonderful people you all are. Zach has always loved words from the time he was little. And I was just figuring this out the other day. He was only like maybe 10 months old when he was pulling these refrigerator magnets off the refrigerator, telling me whatever letter was, even though they were written incorrectly. And he could, when you watch him write, it's like magic. He can just pull these concepts together, integrate them, and come up with this formulated idea that's amazing. So, and he looks at the world that way too. the complexities rather than the simplicities of things. Kaya, she's a force of nature. That girl's not happy unless she's really busy doing lots of things. She's very passionate about the work she does as well, and you can see it in the work that she does. Creative and complex, and she believes strongly in that, and she also equally believes strongly in all of her friends. She's probably one of the best friends anyone could ever have. She's loving and kind and a lot of fun to be around. And you, yes, you attach this joy to life that's infectious. Anywhere you're at, you find something to pull a positive piece out of it. You could make friends with anyone, anywhere, which really kind of reminds you a lot of your Grandpa Pete from your dad's side and my grandma. You can just find anybody and suddenly be their new best friend. You also, too, creatively look at the world and see the outside perspective of it and want to show others what that looks like. So you're interested in everything, and everything has a story and you want to tell it. You also, too, are one of those people that will always bloom wherever you're planted. You find a way to make the situation wherever you're in and whatever you're doing absolutely work. From the time you were a baby, throughout your whole life, you've done that. So 3 amazing kids, and I'm immensely proud of all 3 of them.
That's good. That's good.
Good kids. I'm lucky.
So, if you could go back in time at any point in your life, what point would you go to, and what would you, what advice would you give to that past version of yourself?
A past version of myself? I think it's always harder when you're younger and you come up against an obstacle and you think there's no way that this thing can be fixed or be made better, or it'll always be like this. It's just part of growing up. But I wish I would have told myself that you'll always find strength. Even when you think it's not there, it's always there. So then the hardest of times, I always found the strength to get through it. And usually the hardest of times brought out the best in my life after. So it's the work of getting through something that brings you the joy in life. I wouldn't have been as scared of having to approach the things that happen. You're getting bit up by gnats.
Yeah, I am. I'm making friends with the gnats, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, thank you again. Oh, no, here. Give me,
I get to get a hug.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with your mic, though.
No, that's all right.
Okay, cool.
It'll be all right. Okay. Let's go. Let's do this thing.